Well, hello, hello, hello. So nice to have you here today. I am Jane Hogan. I am the wellness engineer, and I'm passionate about helping people release joint pain naturally by letting go of inflammatory foods, thoughts, and feelings so that they can become empowered creators of their own health. So, welcome to the show, Wellness by Design. It is dedicated to helping people achieve wellness not by reacting to the world around them, but by intentionally designing a life based on what their own body needs. So, in this show, we explore practices, methods, and the science that contributes to optimal health. So, I'm really excited to welcome my guest today, Julie Michelson. So, welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you, Jane. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you here. So I'm going to read your bio so everyone knows all about you. Julie is a international speaker and national board certified functional medicine health coach who specializes in inflammation and autoimmunity. She creates amazing transformations in the lives of her clients through her coaching business. Having gone through her own health struggles, she is excited to help her clients skip the hardship of figuring it out on their own and start living joyful lives of true wellness. Julie works internationally with clients in her remote coaching business, Julie Michelson Coaching. She has created the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity framework to guide clients in making the changes necessary to reduce inflammation, optimize healing. So there we go. Julie, welcome.
Thank you, Jane.
Oh, we got Bernice here. Bernice will just said, hello, ladies. So Bernice, hello back. Nice to have you here. And if you've got any questions to ask while we're having a chat here today, just feel free to ask them, okay? So Julie and I have a lot in common because we both have rheumatoid arthritis. We both, our health journey is what took us into what we're doing now. And we're both functional medicine health coaches. So we're doing a lot of the same thing, right?
Yes, very, very aligned.
Yeah. So, we're just on a similar path and really excited about how to help people. And there's so many people that need help that we're always helping each other out too. And that's why I got Julie here today. So Julie, talk a little bit about your own journey and what brought you here.
My journey started in about 2004. I was a newly single mom with 3 young kids. I was in my early 30s and began to notice I was extremely tired and my joints were hurting. And excuse me, I was actually one of the lucky ones. Within a year of searching, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. For many people, it can take up to 8 years to figure out, what's going on when they have autoimmunity.
Yeah.
And at the time I was seeing traditional Western medicine doctors. I had top specialists in their field, great rheumatologists, and I was a good girl and well-behaved. And I listened to everything they said, which included that there was nothing I could do. It was what it was. I would continue to decline.
Yeah.
And they would try to keep me comfortable. Was basically,
I know it's sad, isn't it?
It is. And I believed it, sadly. I mean, I really did. It was like a death sentence. And so I just took my medicine and I was a good little girl and did what they said and did continue to decline for 10 years. Ended up 10 prescriptions later, still, they weren't working. So I think each prescription required new prescriptions for the side effects.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to a point in my mid 40s where my daughter, who was my youngest, came to me and basically asked me not to die and leave them. And I really, that for me was the moment. I knew I couldn't promise I wouldn't because I didn't think I'd live to see 50. So, but what it did change was I said, I will do everything I can. Like I promise I will fight. And so, after 10 years of decline, it was finally time to start investigating some alternative paths. And I had already gone gluten-free because I'd already been diagnosed celiac and noticed that did help a little bit. So somewhere in there, there was this realization, well, maybe there's not nothing I can do.
Right.
Maybe there's something I can do. Yeah. And so thank goodness for that moment and for, hitting my bottom, so to speak, so that I could learn. And it did take me years. It was trial and error. I didn't have a health coach and didn't have a functional medicine doc at that point. Really started to find wellness through biohacking and Bulletproof and Dave Asprey, and became a Bulletproof coach first. And through that, I found functional medicine, and it just snowballed. Has become my passion.
What a story. So are you on any medications now? I'm assuming not.
I take thyroid hormone.
Oh, thyroid. Okay.
That's it.
Did you have your thyroid out or?
No, I have Hashimoto's and I'm still healing. I'm still, one of the underlying causes for me of my illness are multiple toxicity issues. I have mold toxicity as well as mercury and lead toxicity. And so that's been, I am not one who can handle a quick and dirty detox. So it's been a slow journey I feel amazing. I mean, I'm not on any of the medications I was on back then. And so hopefully, we'll get that thyroid healed as well. And that'll be that.
Yeah. We hear that a lot, that when someone has one autoimmune condition, they tend to get more. And I believe it's because when you're not addressing the underlying root causes, then they're still there. So it doesn't matter what medications you put on top of it.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah. The inflammation is still, flying around and your body just doesn't know what to do. Absolutely.
So Julie, would you say, I know in my experience, looking back, I know that stress was the main cause. And then of course, stress led to other things, digestion not working so well, leaky gut, But really, when I look at it, it was the stress. Would you say for you, like you mentioned that you were newly divorced, that was obviously a stressful event in your life. Would you say that was part of the cause?
Without a doubt, in hindsight, I am a human who I'm fantastic in a stressful situation. Like, God forbid you have an emergency, you want me there. Like, I keep my head, I'm good, I get through. And then when it's all over is when I physically feel the effects of the stress, which was exactly, in hindsight, looking through, I would have thought, well, it would have been during the divorce that I would have gotten sick, or, and I had moved right before that, and all of that was great. And as now I know, per my typical stress response, there was that delay of when things settled was when my body expressed wow, that was a lot.
Yeah. And I was the same way. Stress doesn't always show up. In fact, rarely does it show up externally. It often is internal, because it's these emotions, the emotions of stress, right? That we're internalizing, hanging on to, probably ruminating over and over and over, and keeping our bodies in that stress response, which of course, immune system shuts down, digestion takes a backseat, because our body is thinking, don't bother with all that stuff. You need to survive. You might need to run. So
run from the tiger. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we get really, sadly, most of us are really good at compensating, and we don't even feel it. I can't tell you how many people I meet that they're like, no, I'm not stressed. And I'm like, are you sure? Your body seems to think you are.
And the thing is, if you have illness, like a chronic illness, you probably are stressed.
Well, and I say that to everybody I meet with chronic illness. You have chronic illness, you have a chronic stressor.
Yeah.
There's no question.
No, it's there. Yeah. And so that is what needs to be dealt with. So that's what you help your clients with. So talk about how you do that.
Sure. It's one of the areas for sure. Most people, it's funny. Most people come initially thinking, I know I need diet change.
Yeah.
Which is true. Absolutely. But I have had clients show up with their diet dialed in. I've yet to have anybody show up with their stress management dialed in.
Yeah.
And so what I love to do with people is pull from what I call the 2 buckets. We've got scientifically proven stress reduction techniques. We know, we can show you studies. Meditation works, time in nature works, there are breathing techniques. We know they all work to reset your physiology, lower your cortisol. And then you get the all of the after effects, right, of your digestion working better and your sleep improving and your pain reducing and all of those goodies. But then we have, and some of those things I find people are really resistant to. They've got old stories and old patterns. Some people, you say the word meditation and you can just watch their stress level rise.
I know, it's so loaded for some people. Bernice made a comment there when we were talking about, stress and ignoring it. She said we're in denial, and that is so true.
Yes.
So true for a lot of us. Or even if we're in stress, we think, I'll just get over this little hump.
Yeah,
we don't realize we've been carrying it probably for a long time.
Yes.
Little things, little ways we talk to ourselves in our head. We carry that for a long time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I find the same thing, Julie, that a lot of people think, because I think there's a lot of awareness around food and inflammation now.
Yes.
When I was diagnosed, or when my symptoms first showed up in 2016, it was kind of like a eye opener for me to think food and joint pain, there was that combination. But I think people know that a lot now. And I'm the same way. I get some of my clients that are coming to me have already been doing a lot, eating anti-inflammatory, they're doing that. And then wondering why
the needle won't move.
There's still, I think it takes you so far, and you have to do that because obviously our bodies cannot heal if we're throwing crappy food at them. And if we have an autoimmune condition, by default, we have leaky gut, and that needs to be repaired. It's got to be repaired.
And once we have leaky gut, we create these food sensitivities that most of us don't know we have. So I'm not downplaying the role of diet. It's huge. I agree. You can't, it's not one or the other.
No.
It's, but definitely, like you said, more people know and understand now about the role diet plays. And most of us don't want to think about the stress piece.
Yeah. And it seems sort of, I don't know, people undervalue the role of meditation or controlling your thoughts, like keeping, positive thinking. They just think, you can't think yourself well, when actually you can. If you apply these other things, you still, when you have that, it takes you to that level. That's my belief.
There definitely is, you and I both know how important and powerful mindset can be. And so, but on the other hand, I don't think that everybody needs to meditate in order to heal.
No.
So, and that's where I get to that second bucket of this personalized, Jane, what do you love? What brings you joy? What makes you feel relaxed?
Yeah.
What did you used to love to do as a child, or before you had children? That you no longer do, because so many of us, lose, we don't have time for that, or it seems frivolous, so it's this bringing together of the 2 buckets, if you will, figuring out, well, how can we fit some of these things in? And I know this, in a daily routine, not in a once a month I have No. The body doesn't work like that. We need, it took years, as you mentioned, to get that stress level where it is, and get all those stories, how they are. And so we need that daily routine to help start to reset.
I agree. And it's the daily routine, but it's also the day, our subconscious programming keeps us in the same thing day after day after day. And that's how we got to where we are. Right. So if we don't change that, we're going to get more of the same. And how do you change it? You can change it by, getting into that subconscious mind, which is one thing you can do with meditation, but also through repetition. So that's where things like I believe affirmations, the journal writing, the feeling the gratitude, all those things. And the feelings are really where it's at. Like, you can't just think about it. You got to feel it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what most of us don't realize, especially, those dealing with chronic illness, but really in 2020, which has been such a unique year, most people I come across, sadly, if I say what brings you joy, there's such a hesitation there. They don't even know. They lost touch with it. They're not doing it.
Yeah.
They don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And so, thoughts, yes, but like, we need to experience joy.
Yes.
It's feeling.
Yeah, it is, because the feelings are what create the, it's a vibration in our body, and that's what our cells respond to.
Yes.
And so you got to get those feelings going. And so important. And it's positive feelings. And I know some people say it's hard. It's hard to think positive and feel joy, for example, when you're feeling crappy and you're in pain.
It is.
So what kind of advice do you have for that? What strategies do you use?
Well, you mentioned one of my favorite tools is the gratitude journaling.
Yeah.
And I am a huge fan of keeping things as absolutely short and simple as possible, because I blink my eyes and I can remember what it's like to that overwhelmed feeling of exhaustion and pain. And so when I say gratitude journaling, I don't mean you're going to sit down for a half hour every day and write 10 pages, especially on those bad days. It's 3 things. Write down 3 things. And I've said this before, sometimes on a bad day, maybe thing 1 is I can hold the pen today.
Yes.
I just start with one thing that is working right, that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it snowballs, and people come back and they're like, well, can I write more than 3 things? I'm like, absolutely, write as many as you want.
Yeah.
And I do have people, like you said before, you have to really feel it. Don't write the same 3 things every day.
Yeah.
I mean, do, but then those aren't your 3 things. Like, then add to it.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point, is getting back in touch with those feelings of gratitude, creating that positivity shift. And it does. I mean, where you put your mind is where your energy goes. Absolutely.
Energy goes where attention, or where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And it's true.
And I find a really powerful practice, something that I've been doing, is when I turn out the light at night, I think about things that happened during the day that I'm grateful for. And I always say, okay, think of 3. And then it always goes on to more than 3, because it's almost like you get this snowball effect happening. And really, we have so much to be grateful for.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we do. Everybody, anybody who can hear this has things to be grateful for.
Yeah. And even things like, being able to, I can still see. Just ask anyone who can't see, and if they would be grateful if they could see. I'm sure they would be. So it shouldn't be that hard. Once you start getting your mind in that mindset and you start getting momentum, then it's really not hard to find things to be grateful for. And the thing is, then it's sending that, especially when you feel it, it's sending the signal again to your cells that all is good here. All is good in this body. You can thrive and, do your functions and do what you need to do.
And when you write those gratitudes, it actually helps to create the neural pathways in your brain.
Yes. So writing is more powerful.
Yeah. There's this with your hand, and don't type it. Don't put it in on your phone. Hold a writing utensil and use some paper. You could actually even write it like on your iPad with the pen, it can be electronic, but it's that movement of the hand that helps create those new neural pathways in the brain. And that's what we need out of those old negative ones. We got to create some new ones.
Yeah. And that's the repetition. Yes. That's the repetition and building a different message in your subconscious mind, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got a question for you. I'm a
Yep.
big fan of journaling, and obviously you are too. How many journals do you have on the go right now, would you say?
Well, right here on my table, I have two. I always have two. And you know me, so you may already know exactly why I always have at least two with me at all times. But I have a wins journal, which is where my gratitudes and wins go, and I write in that every day.
Yep.
And then I also have a goals journal as part of the energy work that I do.
Yep.
But I have journals in my car and journals in my purse. And
I know. The other day I thought I should round up my journals and see how many I actually have on the go right now, because I probably always have like 5 or something.
Yeah. And I will say, when you fill up a gratitude journal, please don't throw it away.
Yes.
Keep them. There's power in there. So I have a special place in my home that has just stacks and it's amazing sometimes to pull an old one out.
Yes.
And go through, I would say if you're somebody who does journal and you have a moment where you're feeling stuck or down, pull out one of those old journals and read through, because we sadly forget all of the millions of little gratitudes and wins we have all, every day as we move through life. So it can be really powerful.
Yeah. Another thing I love in journaling too is keeping, it's almost like a gratitude, but keeping like a running list of things I love about myself.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's just so, because I really think, again, that love feeling and self-love is, again, sending messages to your cells that, all is good and is a great place to be. So when you keep this running list and you can look it over once in a while and just feel like, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we need the reminder. We might not feel all of those things every day, but when you can look at that list, you're like, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to be hard and critical on ourselves, especially for me, I know I had a habitual criticism of myself going on in the background all the time.
Autoimmune disease and self-criticism? Imagine.
Did you ever hear that the emotions that are associated with rheumatoid arthritis are like feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders and resentment?
Yes. Yeah. I love Gabor Mate's work. I
haven't heard of it.
Oh my gosh. He has a book. It's called When the Body Says No.
Oh, yes, I have heard of that.
And it's all, about the different illnesses we create by these different patterns.
Yeah.
I've
got Louise Hay's book, so you can heal your life, and similar idea. It's got emotions that are associated with different illnesses. And whenever I always ask people, does this sound right for you? They're like, yeah.
Does this resonate with you? Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's interesting when I didn't know if I really believed that in the beginning, but now I wholeheartedly do. And I know that that's, all the other healing, like the other stuff is important, the food, getting the sleep, the relationships, getting the movement, exercise in, all those things. But it's kind of like without dealing with this part of it, you're only probably going to get to a plateau.
Well, and for most of us, this is the underlying, I said, my underlying cause is toxicity. But as you mentioned, you didn't use the word toxic, but those thoughts and patterns are toxic.
Yes.
And so, I too remember when I first read those books and heard those theories, I was a little bit taken aback and it didn't resonate. It wasn't until I started to change some of those patterns that I had enough distance to say, oh my gosh, that was spot on for sure. Spot on. So yeah.
And I see it in clients too. Sometimes I get some that say, no, I'm not stressed. And I think, I think you are somewhere down there, but.
Oh yeah. I had one who on our first conversation, she said she's not stressed. When I said, here, these are the things I work with, and I'm not stressed at all. And she runs her own business. She was building a house. She had little kids. The list of stressors was amazing, and again, that goes back to we get used to, we normalize these
Yes.
higher and higher and higher levels of stress. And in our society today, unfortunately, it's like a badge of honor, right? Like the more
I
stress we
know.
can handle, the better person we are. No,
Yeah.
that's not right.
And we're busy, I think a lot of times as women too, we're trying to do it all. And that we put those roles on ourselves, and that adds to the stress. And yet we can't let it go because we still want to be, the best mother, the best at our job, the best, and so on. Oh, Anne Reed says, this is great. Thank you. You're welcome, Anne.
Thanks for being here, Anne.
Yeah. So, Julie, I always have one question. I'm just going to pop it up here now that I ask people, every one of my guests at the end. And that is this one. What is one action someone could take today to improve their health?
Well, the shortest, easiest answer I can give, I would say, is the one I already gave. If you don't already have a gratitude practice, grab a notebook. It doesn't have to be a fancy journal. And just start literally daily, 3 things a day. You can do it at the end of the day, like Jane does, is a great time to just kind of replay, or you can do it first thing in the morning. I do both.
I do both.
I do both. And just start to create that habit and create those pathways. And what you'll see is, much like Jane said earlier, once you start to put your attention there, what you're going to notice is you have so much more to be grateful for than you ever imagined. And it's so much easier for us to be in that place and have that awareness and start to heal.
Yeah. And so you'll start to heal, you'll feel better, you'll have more energy too, because a lot of energy goes into stress, dealing with stress.
Well, and again, then you're sleeping better and you're digesting better. And you know what? You become a better human. You're a better mom, a better partner, a better business person, a better friend. People will attract to you when you start to create that shift.
The thing that we often don't realize too is the ripple effect that we're having on every person that we touch. Yes. And in some ways, it might seem like selfish to take the time to sit down and write in your journal, but really it's selfless. It's like almost selfish not to, because of the positive effect that it's going to have on all the people that you touch. That's beautiful, Julie. I love that one. So tell us where people can find you. I'm going to have the links, so you don't need to mention the exact links, but just generally, you got a website.
Yep. Well, my website is juliemichelson.com. No A in Michelson. I am Julie Michelson Coaching on Facebook and julie.michelson on Instagram. If you Google your autoimmune coach, I should pop up. I'm out there, but using my name in all the places.
Yeah. I just realized I think I spelt your name with an A when I did the banner picture, so I'll have to go back and fix that.
Oh, okay. Well, and that could be why you couldn't find me on Facebook.
Perhaps. Okay, so that's perfect, Julie. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today, and really great insights that I know my audience is really going to get something great out of that, and hopefully start working on their gratitude journal if they don't already have one.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me, Jane. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes. Okay. See you. Thanks to all the people that join live and people that are watching on the replay as well. Take care.
Bye.